It seems like this team with sacrifice bunting, it's not easy either. They have struggled, to put it lightly, on trying to get a guy over from whatever base they're on to the next base with a bunt. Here's my thought on this a little bit. I know fundamentally we are so out on the bunt, many of us are, because of the situations at hand that have played out prior to, right? It's almost like we're leaning back on our previous history of this experience, and we are out on it because of that. I do think there are times where the bunt will make sense for this team. It's not like they should never bunt ever. I do think the other night when you got Banfield in a spot and you have, I guess we could say that McLean's seeing the ball better or not. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to execution, in my opinion. This is the crux of the argument that I don't know if we really want to get into. Not we, but like the fan base in general. The real problem with the whole bunting or non-bunting argument, in my opinion, is your capability of actually executing the bunt. And it feels like we just automatically assume that every single big leaguer, and you might be able to make the case that they should. I'm not here to argue that whether they should or shouldn't. I'm talking about reality, Nick. Is the reality that these guys are capable of getting this bunt down and executing it to where you're going to get the guy over above 80, 85, 90% of the time? You're already automatically sacrificing an out, more than likely, right? Would say it's, I don't know, call it, is there a 5% chance that they bobble the ball and don't get the guy out on a sacrifice bunt? I would say it's probably even less than that. But what's more likely? The chance of them bobbling a ball, getting nobody out on a bunt, or the chance of you not getting a bunt down at all and or not advancing the runners? I think it's pretty safe to say not advancing the runners, especially based off the way we've watched the Reds lately try to do this. All I'm getting at is that we've got to also, at this point, if we are going to bunt, Nick, we've got to be wise enough to understand that we have to butcher boy the play if they're going to cheat as much as these teams are going to cheat. Because today, if you go back and watch, this is what I'm getting to, if you go back and watch the bunt attempt that was Trevino, it was actually a really good bunt. It was actually exactly where you want to bunt a ball in that situation. I know some people are saying, you got to bunt the ball to third base. No, you don't. Like, I'm not trying to be rude again. I'm not trying to be like Mr. Know-It-All. And I know people think that I come off that way, and sometimes I probably do, and I don't mean it to be that way. But they're just fundamental facts in baseball of where you're supposed to bunt the ball in certain spots. If it's first and second, you bunt the ball to third base because theoretically the third baseman can't cheat and run in because he's got no one to cover third on a steal. Today, when you got a guy on first base and that's it, you got to bunt the ball to the first baseman because theoretically the first baseman's supposed to be holding that runner on at first base so he doesn't steal, right? And the third baseman's crashing, and you want to make sure that the pitcher has to make the play. But that's not what happened today. The first baseman was crashing as hard as you could possibly be crashing. He fields the ball, he turns, he makes the throw to second base. It wasn't a bad bunt. So my question now is if we continue to go down this path, which is let's bunt them over, I'm not saying I'm completely anti-bunt. But I am saying that if the other team is going to cheat as badly as they are, which is they're going to crash their first and third baseman, the second baseman's covering first base, and the shortstop's going to second. Think about the field of play at that point. There's no one out in the infield. There's literally no one out there besides a guy standing at second base and a guy sprinting over to first base. We can't continue to try to bunt if the defense is not allowing it. I mean, to put it in perspective, it'd be like trying to continue to run a toss sweep when you have 11 guys in the box on defense as a defense when you're trying to run the ball. You can't do it. You can't do it. And I know today everyone's going to sit there and say bunt, 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 bunt. I don't hate it because of some of the guys we have in this lineup, Nick, that whether it's Banfield or Trevino, they're not the most productive guys at the plate. But my bigger question is one, can they bunt? Can they do the job? And two, if they're going to do the job, is the defense even respecting it enough to where if you get it down, it's going to work? Because the answer's been no and no. And that's the real problem I have moving forward. We'll see if it changes.
Yeah, bunting's just stupid. It's so stupid in those situations. We have years of data that proves that it's stupid and it's ignorant, and we just decide to ignore that. The latest run expectancy matrix, which I would hope that maybe a big league manager could decipher, When you have a runner on first base with 0 outs, you are expected to score. This is actual things that have happened. You're expected to score 0.87 runs. When you have a runner on second base with 1 out, you're expected to score 0.67 runs. That is saying that the bunt actually is successful. It's not even a good play. Even if it is successful, it leads to fewer runs. And you're in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead against one of the best offenses in baseball. It's asinine. It's backwards. I don't care if they bunt good. They don't bunt good. It's a bad baseball play.
What about the counter argument that someone would say that data is based off of the overview of Major League Baseball as a whole, and it's not based on the fact that you got Banfield at the plate. It's not based off if you have Trevino at the plate trying to get a hit in a spot like that. If Banfield bounces into a double play the other night, I mean, he's going to get killed one way or the other. I'm not here to like try to defend it. I'm not. I am just saying, though, overarching viewpoint is that the Marte bunt is probably the one that just kills it for the rest of the year, because that one was so bad. That made no sense. But some of these other situations, I will openly admit, I don't love Trevino in a tight spot, maybe call it a 1-run game, swinging away with first and second. And to be fair, I'm not saying he shouldn't either. Like I guess what I'm saying is I don't have a strong take one way or the other on that, because of some of the guys we have at the bottom of our lineup. But what's the counterpoint to that? You're still completely out, even if no matter who's up at the plate.
Pretty much. I mean, it's a 1-run game. It's in the 7th inning. If it's in the 8th inning and you only need 3 more outs, okay, maybe I understand a little bit more. But you play a great American ballpark. I mean, try to hit some home runs. And there's a whole nother layer to this as well. The Reds started Gavin Lux in left field because Austin Hayes apparently can only DH. So they start Gavin Lux in left field. The Reds get a lead. They bring in Will Benson as a defensive replacement, which how many times have the Reds brought in a defensive replacement and lost the game, or like today, they should have lost the game. You could have started Will Benson in left field, and he would have been in there for the whole game, and then you have Hayes to pinch hit for Trevino, or vice versa. You save Benson and you bring him in to pinch hit for Trevino, a guy that could hit a home run and put the Blue Jays almost away at that point. It's just so backwards to me. Right. And this team isn't even getting these bunts down. I don't know. It's proven to be a bad play if you're successful, and the Reds aren't even being successful.
Yeah, I think that's the best argument. I honestly, that's the best argument that I believe the anti-butt crowd even has, even above and beyond the expected runs, right? We're talking about tenths of a decimal here on some of these situations on bunting or not bunting. The real outlier in all this, and where you have a huge statistical kind of margin or an area where you could say that this is definitely not the right play, is what you just said. They've not done a good job of getting the job done. I mean, if they put it this way, if they would have successfully made a few bunts here and there, like if Banfield gets the bunt down and it works, and they get the guys to second and third base, and they get a hit, it makes sense to continue to do it, because you've seen it be successful, and you could say, well, the analytics, I don't really care what they say, because for us and what we do, I've seen it work. They've not seen it work. They've not seen it work once. And that's the real crux of the problem, is that a lot of these guys don't bunt in the minor leagues. A lot of these guys don't learn to bunt in the minor leagues. And the reason for it, Nick, is because of what you just said. A lot of the data has shown that perhaps it's not the best move to be made in the first place. So why are we going to spend a bunch of time learning how to do something that we don't even really think, I guess we do now, but from an organizational level, we don't really want to do anyways. So I think that's why you don't see a lot of guys bunting in the first place, is because they don't really believe in it anyways. So we'll see. I'm not, to be very clear, I am not anti-bunt no matter what. I honestly don't even think you are either. I just think that this idea of having to do it every single time that you get in a spot where you have what seems like a good opportunity to score is what's killing this offense a little bit. Like even today, in the 9th inning, Nick, is TJ Friedl bunting right there in a spot where you, like, I know it's 1 out, but Who did they pinch hit for? Help me out here. Who did Andujar pinch hit for? Trevino, maybe?
Trevino.
So
Trevino.
Here's my point. If that was the third inning of the game, right, and they get a leadoff guy on, and Trevino comes up, is he being asked to sacrifice that guy over to second base to try to get him? And let's just think about how that inning plays out versus what actually played out, which is they scored a lot of runs. They had a chance to score even more runs. The game ended. So your point's well taken. I think most people understand. Just for the anti kind of analytics crowd, or the people that are going to say, well, bunting's still important, et cetera, et cetera. You have to at least factor in, if you can't get the bunt down, that has to weigh into the decision. And it seems like right now it's not. It seems like we just expect these guys to do it, and they're not doing it.
Credit to them as well. It's harder than ever to bunt in Major League Baseball because these pitchers throw incredibly hard. Their stuff is nastier. A lot of them can't throw strikes. It's hard. Like, it's a lot easier to bunt when you're bunting against guys that their fastball's 91 miles an hour. So, like, it's just nuts to me. And my last point on this, because I've seen people, well, he scored second. If you put him on second base, it's easier to score. If the Reds had scored that run on second base, that still would not have been enough to win this game. Still wouldn't have, because the Blue Jays still scored 4 runs. And you have to expect that you're playing a great offensive team with a bullpen that's not lights out. This isn't 2012 Broxton, Marshall, Chapman in the 9th inning. I mean, Santillan and Pagan, they've done a nice job. We'll talk about them here in a second. But they're not foolproof. You're facing a good offense. You can't play for 1 run.
No, that's fair. It's a good point.